Good morning, Charles. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am well as well. You know what's weird? I always
weird?
want to say good, and I know that's not grammatically correct. And but I feel obligated because you've got better vocabulary and grammar than I do, and so you say well. You set the bar really high every morning, and so but it just doesn't resonate with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, when I say well, I feel like I'm trying too hard. You know. I don't know.
There's a
But I don't want to
joke.
be. I don't want to be a cretin either. I don't want to be a cretin.
There's a great joke in 30 Rock where Tracy is meeting Twofer, who's the other black guy that works for the show on 30 Rock. And he goes, how are you doing? And the guy goes, I'm doing good. And Tracy Morgan's character goes, no, Superman does good. You're doing well. And laughing at that joke really drilled it into my head that I always say that I'm doing well or fine instead of good.
It's amazing what sticks with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what's going on with me right now.
So I am good.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I am smack in the middle of my. I'm in the middle of my ketosis honeymoon phase, where last 3 days I've dropped about half a pound a day because I'm really restricting my carbs, and so the water weight is just falling off right now, and it's always fun when that's happening, but it's also difficult. When you get to the point where it doesn't fall off quite that easily. And I know that's going to
take all your bikini modeling shots now.
I'm not quite there yet.
Get those done.
Not quite there yet, but yeah, it's good right now. This morning I had one of my favorite low carb breakfasts, which are my the fake pancakes I do with 2 eggs and 2 ounces of cream cheese, and I just blend them up in my Ninja. And then make just grill them in a pan like a pancake, and with a little bit of sugar-free maple syrup, and about a tablespoon of butter, and it was delicious. It's just I'm trying to do about 500 calories per meal between some shakes that I'm drinking and low cal 0 carb stuff. And what blew my mind last night was I was doing some research on going to Shikai tonight for happy hour, and I'll just stick to sashimi. And I was like, I wonder how much sashimi I can eat, to be around 500 calories. Holy cow! If I stuck to tuna or salmon, I could eat about a pound of sushi and still be around 500 calories.
Right now, you change that to. Right, or the fish. Right now, if you change that to actual sushi rolls, with the rice,
just sashimi. What? So just the cut up fish.
Right. Now, if you changed it, how many little rolls would you get for 500 calories?
Good question. Let's check.
Did you look at that?
No, but I will right now. Let's see. Let me Google real quick. How many calories California roll?
Probably 2 rolls, I would think.
Okay, so it says a 7-piece California roll is around 160 calories. So I would be good for 3 of those, 3 rolls. 3 rolls or 12 pieces of sashimi.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. The problem I've looked at with looking at sushi on some of these apps, nutrition information, is the rolls, and also when you go to restaurants, the rolls are so different in terms of sizes. I think it's tough without having like a little digital scale there, or being able to eyeball it and figure out how much you're actually being served. It's really tough, and it's tough because sushi goes down real easy for some reason, man.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I'm eating that sushi rice makes it, I mean, besides being delicious, for some reason, it just doesn't fill me up. I mean, I could sit there and eat them all day long, like popcorn.
Yeah. It looks like most pieces of sashimi though are only between 40 and 50 calories a piece. And so
that sounds about right. Yeah.
I'm going to probably go with, I'm going to start with 10 and see how I feel.
Nice. Yeah.
And then go from there.
That's Good thing it's happy hour. You get a good deal.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the only reason.
Breaking the bank.
Exactly. Yeah, 10 pieces of sashimi. Like if you just got a chef's choice platter of 10 pieces of sashimi, in a lot of places you're talking $30 or $40 for that. Well, maybe I'd say at least $25 for a 10 piece of the chef selection. But that Shikai happy hour, man, that's some good deals.
Yeah. I have heard the service can be hit or miss. Fortunately, I've not had that experience. I've heard from other people that during happy hour it can be a little crazy there. So the service can be a little bit spotty. But fortunately, we've been. I haven't run into it anyway.
Yeah, it's you can. I've noticed a couple times where we've had to wait a little while for our drinks to get refilled. Stuff like that. But when you're talking, I mean, like the avocado roll and the sweet potato roll that I like, which, those are just vegetables. On happy hour, they're like $3. So, how much can you complain about the service when you're getting a decent vegetable roll for $3?
Right.
All right. So
at the same time, you don't have to go back there and make it for yourself.
Very, very true. Correct. That's true.
Go ahead.
So, what else is going on with you? How's the coaching business going, or any other updates for us?
Coaching business is going well, getting some traction. Actually starting to build a website and to basically looking into actually doing a little bit of bartering with the web designer for some coaching with for in exchange for getting the website built, and it's actually come down to a reasonable price. And it's flattering when I tell people about the habit coaching and why I do it, and basically, how it works, and that they're willing to, that they say, hey, I need this. Right. So for me, regardless of whether, a deal happens or, whether it's a barter but the fact is it really feels good when somebody's like, I feel like this is needed. And then it's an even bigger compliment when they say it's needed for me, and I want to try to see if we can, make this work together. So that's been, a little win. Same thing, with, similar to your wins now. You're just starting out with the keto stuff, but you're seeing that change on the scale. It's feeling good. You're getting excited about it. And I mean, that's the whole principle around tiny habits. I've been working with, also with my sister, on a couple of habits, and it's nice to see, her identity start to change too. So for example, she's working on a walking habit, and, basically she hasn't done it every day, but I'm kind of coaching her through the practice of realizing, hey, look, it's not your fault. It's just the situation. You were running low on time. It was, basically the weather wasn't, conducive to that. But then she found herself walking a couple of extra aisles in Target because she wanted to kind of make up for it from the morning. And so if she hadn't been, aware of and trying to make this change, she wouldn't have really thought of going a little bit further in Target, walking around. And so she realized, hey, this is something that she wants to do. And it starts to like the very beginnings of that identity shift. And that's what I get excited about when, and she'll text me randomly every once in a while and go, hey, I'm going to Whole Foods now, and I'm looking for this, all natural honey and these things that she wasn't doing before. And so that's where I can really start to see that habits start to spread in other areas. So, I've been pretty excited to see that transformation start to happen with my sister, at least.
Yeah, I can see how that would be exciting to participate in that. And also, exciting at a different level than when you're just doing it for yourself. When you're doing it with somebody else, it's definitely, there's another dimension to it for sure.
Yeah. And it's, kind of like, you get to see things through another person's perspective and eyes and how they're going about doing things. And so I'm getting my stimulation from learning about how she's thinking about things, how she's approaching things, and the roadblocks that she's hitting. So it's kind of cool. So my IT consultant, Mr. Fix-It type of personality that kind of gets stimulated here as well, because now I get to troubleshoot and look at things and figure things out and solve things. And those things all make me feel really good and valuable. So it's just with a little different twist on it. So that's been
I can see that. Good. Excellent. So, let's see what else is going on that I wanted to share about. I lost my my bookshelf the other day that I had installed over one of the windows in my camper. I use there's very limited methods you can use for
a bookshelf.
I didn't. Well, the guy that stole my bike. No, I didn't. I didn't lose it that way. I lost it where it fell out of the wall, and my options there was a lot of weight up there, and my options for affixing heavy things to the walls, the interior walls of an RV, are quite limited. And so I don't know what I'm going to do next, but right now I got my pile of books sitting next to me on my chair here that I'm sitting in, and that's not a long-term solution. So I got to figure out something I can do to store my books in a very small place. I'm thinking I may have to switch exclusively to ebooks, because it is a lot of I was about to say a lot of volume. You know, I'm a bit of a book nerd, and so it's a lot of volume with all these books that I tend to collect. And I got another one. I got a hold on a book at the library right now that on my way out of town today, I'm going to go by and pick up. And then I'll have another one that I'm just borrowing that I'll have to find a place for. But it is what it is. That's one of the challenges of living in a very small place is finding room for everything. So, but yeah. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to mention before we started recording that I don't remember what it was, but we'll see if it comes back to me. I certainly am not shy when it comes to interrupting you or me to go back to something I wanted to talk about. So, I remember what it was. Yeah, I told you when I was at your house a couple nights ago, I told you that I was on a Reddit thread with a guy who was, asking the question, should he completely give up on dating because he is 5'7" and he wasn't getting any matches on the dating apps? And I was just blown away that somebody would, 5'7" is certainly within the range of it's not the average height of a man, but it's certainly within the average range, certainly in the probably 60 or 70th percentile. Maybe it goes the other way, 40 percentile, but it's not unusual for a guy to be 5'7". And, part of me wanted to respond to this guy and be like, maybe we should all get together and send Tom Cruise a letter that he's not allowed to be famous or attractive to women anymore because he's only 5'7". And now look, obviously, and we'll get into this this week about this episode. We're going to talk about money and status. But the thing is, Tom Cruise, before Tom Cruise was Tom Cruise, he was just a good looking kid who maxed out at 5'7", right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
it's so naive, or it's unbelievable how naive that is, because there's so many factors. Maybe your profile sucks. Maybe you don't have good pictures. Maybe you're on the wrong dating apps. Maybe the women that you're going after are giving you indications that they are looking for taller men and you're ignoring that. Whatever. There's so many other things for you to say it's this one thing that's preventing you from getting dates is a cop out.
Yes. And, unless it's something that is so extreme and outside of the norms, where it's like, okay, if you were the first guy to, get a face transplant because of some accident or disease, and your appearance is extremely unusual and it's not something that people are used to seeing, then I could say, okay, you're not without hope, but you're going to have some unique challenges that other people haven't experienced. And that is going to be something that, you better work on these other areas, because you're going to experience some unusual challenges that most people handing out advice haven't experienced. And so, you're going to have a tough time, but not an impossible time. But just the idea of I'm 5'7", I'm 2 inches shorter than the average American man. So do I need to give up on love? It's like, even somebody who would ask that question, clearly there's other things going on in this person's life, things that are not going well for them. And I would say it's probably a mix of their upbringing. It's a mix of their mindset. It's a mix of the messaging they've received from society and culture. There's a lot of things going into why they're not having good luck. And there's a lot of things going into why they want to blame their height exclusively for their lack of luck. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that makes a nice segue into the next couple of chapters after Clothes Make the Man in Atomic Attraction. They dive into a little bit about money and status, which is another big, I guess, topic where a lot of us are feeling like, hey, if we don't have money or status, we're not going to be attractive, or we're not going to, women aren't going to want us.
Yeah, and that brings me to a point I thought of when I was rereading this chapter this morning, which is, there's two myths that I think we should address that are just really sold hard by modern society, and I find them to be not true at all in any of my experience with my own relationships or my friends and their relationships. One is, women do not enter into and seek. Now, hold on. Let me say, there will be outliers and exceptions to this, but you and I will probably not encounter them, and neither will our listeners. So let me put that out there first. It could exist, because anything you can think of pretty much will exist when it comes to personal relationships between human beings. But again, in my experience, women are not seeking out long-term relationships with men based solely on the fact that somebody has a bunch of money and can buy them whatever they want. If somebody has a lot of money and can buy a lot of things, and they are miserable to be around, it's possible they could get into a relationship. They could get a chance to have access to a relationship, but it's just hard to see that if that person has nothing going for them except for a bunch of zeros at the end of their bank balance, if they're not fun to be around, if they don't, if they don't project emotional regulation, intelligence, strength of character, strength of body, if the only thing a guy has working for him is a lot of money, then I don't know any guys in that situation that have had success in long-term relationships with women, and even less success in short-term relationship with women. So that's myth number one. Myth number two is the idea that guys are looking for just very, very pretty women with nothing else to offer and getting into long-term relationships with them. It's those are two things that I think the media in particular and entertainment sells us on, the idea that men just care about a pretty youthful looking woman and they'll hitch their trailer to them for the rest of their lives if they just find one that'll have them. And all women care about is finding a man with a lot of money and resources, and they will, stick with anybody as long as he's got enough money. And in my own life experience, both of those seem to be bullcrap.
Yeah. And I think like for 99% of the population, I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
In my experience as well. And, as you're speaking about it, I had some thoughts in terms of on both sides of that. So for women who are the thought that women are only looking for money, it's no different than having a job that you're not passionate about. Right. So if all of us can kind of relate, I'm sure at some point, most of us have had some sort of job that we're just like, I need the money, so I'm going to do this for this time being, but I'm not happy here. I'm not exactly enjoying what I'm doing. I don't really, maybe I don't like my coworkers. I don't like the actual tasks that I've been asked to do. It's too demanding, whatever it is, but it's paying the bills. To me, it's the same thing as a woman going after a guy just for the money. If there's no other attachment there's no other enjoyment, things that they appreciate, then it's no different than having a crappy job you don't like. So that's, and it's doomed. That relationship is doomed, because that's not why people are, that's not why people get together. It's, if it's not there, if the financial, I'm not saying you have to be, made of money, but there should be like a base level of support that you are able to provide. If that's not there, that's different. That's not saying being wealthy, but that's being, basic needs. That's different. But, and then anything else really is going to have a tough time growing from there. But I feel like that's why women aren't after just that. Right. And it's the reverse holds true too, where guys, if guys are just looking for beauty, all right, so that's going to satisfy maybe your sexual needs, but then how good is it going to be with someone where, you know, you can't have a good conversation and you don't enjoy being with them and you can't connect with them on a level when you're not having sex. So basically you're just, it's no different than just looking at porn on online. Then at that point, if you're just after beauty, right? So it's same thing in the reverse here. It's one dimension and it's not fulfilling, and it's a very fleeting, you know, basic type of, I guess, trait or character that or attribute that you're really looking for. So to me, logically, it just doesn't line up. And that kind of helps when, you know, everybody I think has, you know, insecurities from time to time in terms of, all right, when you've got a dip in your income or something, you know, you're struggling a little bit, which is, you know, I think we've all run into that. You feel a little bit insecure about things, and maybe that translates into your confidence with women. But just remember that just like you're a multidimensional person, so are the women out there, and probably even more so than you, and are looking for more than just your money and status.
Yeah. And I would say, you know, keep in mind that money is, you know, status has been around as long as, you know, we've been humans. You know, from the day we turned into Homo sapiens, status has been something that we use to evaluate and judge each other and decide, you know, who do I need to be around so that I can stay alive and, you know, have food in my belly and a roof over my head or whatever, where money is a relatively new construct in human civilization. So the idea that, you know, money is going to be the thing that gets in your way of finding a mate. No, it's what money is now when it comes to mate selection is money is a tool that we use to keep score and determine how successful and how good a person is at working the system that they live within. So whether that's, you know, capitalism, communism, I mean, the amount of resources a person, and specifically a man, has is just a way to, most cases, not all cases, but in many cases, it is a way to know, okay, how good is this person at thriving in the system in which he or she lives? And so money doesn't tell us, you know, what somebody is going to, you know, it doesn't say this is how much a person is worth because of how much money they have. It says this is how much the person in question is kind of able to maximize his or her ability to thrive in the system that they live inside. Which again, there are exceptions to that. There are people who inherit a bunch of money and didn't really do anything to earn it. And there are people that come by their money in dishonest ways that, you know, will catch up with them eventually and they'll not have any money anymore. But for the most part, the thing that is attractive about men with money is the money that they have testifies to the skills that they've developed that they use to get that money. And that could be, you know, mathematical skills, engineering skills, or just really good interpersonal skills with, you know how to work with other people in a way that they are willing to reward you from the effort and time that you expend. I mean, that's how capitalism should work in a situation where it's not being, you know, manipulated and exploited. But, you know, as systems go, it's still one of the best ones that we've tried so far. And so I don't bash on it too hard.
Yeah, and one of the interesting points that he makes in the book is that oftentimes the people who do have some money have the skills, like you just mentioned, to get that money, and that can translate into, like you said, interpersonal skills, and those are things that are attractive to other people, right? Are those other skills that help them make that money. So it's not necessarily the money per se that is making them attractive. It is the skills that they embody and the personality traits and the qualities and the values and the morals that they're basically using to earn that money.
Right.
And that is, those are all attractive qualities to people. And he even talks about, it's not necessarily that you have all the money, but you have the potential to make money. So even if you may possess some of these skills and you just may not have made it yet, you're working on something, but you haven't had a success yet. You're not, rolling in dough. But according to Manson, it basically, this is what people are looking for. This is what women are looking for, is the potential more than the actual end result.
Right. And that seems to jive with what we see. I mean, a lot of people meet their spouses and their mates in college, and in college, not except for those people that come from certain kinds of families, for the most part, women are looking at somebody based on their intelligence, their ambition, their potential, not what they've already accumulated. So, for really anybody who's meeting their partner as a younger person in their early, mid, even late 20s, you're going to be evaluated, and you're going to do your evaluating based on the potential that someone has as, an earner, as a father, as a mother, as a husband, as a wife. You're looking at the things that they're doing today to give you a clue into the potential that they have for the future. And you're making your decisions based on those and on those things. And so, yeah, he mentions in the book here that an ambitious poor man is far more attractive than a lazy rich man. And when I hear lazy rich man, my mind always goes right to somebody who inherited a bunch of money that they didn't work for. And so, when you see a person like that,
my mind goes to Billy Madison.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Billy Madison at the beginning of the movie, as opposed to Billy Madison at the end of the movie.
He's like lying in at the pool. I'm always, at the beginning for sure. That's exactly what I'm thinking about.
And I would say that the message of that movie jives with that too, because the teacher, Veronica Vaughn,
right,
she was not attracted to him while he was just the screw up, laying by his dad's pool all the time. It was only after she started seeing him working hard for his the school challenge that he was in, and also the way that he related to the other students. That was when she found him attractive, not when he was just a screw up laying by the pool all day.
That's right. He needed to graduate kindergarten before she was even interested in him. So,
exactly.
You got to work hard.
Yeah. So the big message I would send to guys out there that think that their economics are getting in the way of their ability to date people and form relationships with women is what you think is your problem is probably not your problem. Even in cases, he mentions in the book, in those limited cases where men and women do get together because the man has a lot of money, what do those relationships look like? For the most part, they look like a guy who is constantly worried that he's going to lose his girl as soon as a guy with a little bit more money comes along. And that doesn't sound fun to me. That's not a merry-go-round that I'm looking at getting on, where I'm gonna use my money to get women, and then I've got to be worried that as soon as a guy with a little bit more money comes along, I'm gonna lose her. The thing you got to do is build.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say is, who wants to be around a worrywart the whole time too?
Oof,
right?
Yes.
That's you're basically self-sabotaging.
Yeah, for sure. That's absolutely true. It's if you hone in on one thing and say, this is the only valuable thing about me, this is the only attractive thing about me, this is the only reason that someone would want to be with me, then what's going to happen? If it's that one thing that you believe attracts women, then as soon as a guy comes along and looks at your girl and he's got a little bit more of that one thing that you think is the only reason you're attractive, you're going to immediately be overwhelmed with anxiety and jealousy and worry that, okay, now this guy could have her if he wants her, and I'm going to be out of luck. And then that attitude and that thinking is going to translate to how you behave with your wife or girlfriend, and it's going to instantly make you less attractive than you would be otherwise. So the thing is, when we say this a lot on this podcast, curate a life for yourself that is fun and interesting and that you're happy with. And don't just worry about one thing that you can do for yourself to make you attractive, but have a life that other people look at and be like, man, I kind of wish I had a life a little bit more like Charles or a little bit more like Dan. And then the friendships, the relationships, the romantic partners, they will just be drawn to you, and you don't have to worry about, oh no, what happens if a guy comes along and he's got a 20-foot camper that he lives in instead of a 19-foot camper? Am I going to be worried? Hell no. that is only a small piece of what makes me the dynamic and attractive man that I am.
Now, if that camper's got a bookshelf, now you could be a little concerned.
Yeah,
Charles,
that's true.
Think,
but what books? But what collection of books is he keeping on that bookshelf? See, that's another thing that makes me more attractive.
Ooh, there's the okay. Yes, no, for sure. It all comes down to you are your own best salesperson. If you don't love yourself, if you don't think that you enjoy the things that you do and you're proud of the things that you do and you're confident in the things that you do, nobody else is going to come from the outside and think that either. They're going to tend to believe you in the way they're going to see the way you treat yourself on a day-to-day basis, the way you talk about yourself, the way you carry yourself. That's going to come through what you really believe about yourself. So look at yourself, take some time, if you need to go see, a coach or a therapist or whatever that is to learn to love yourself a little bit more. That's going to make such a difference in the outside because you are really your best salesperson. And that's something to keep in mind is don't necessarily do these things and like you were talking about these one-off things trying to do to make yourself more attractive. Do them so that you learn to love yourself a little bit more, maybe do a little bit more self-care, and then that will shine through.
Yeah, I was giving the guy some advice on one of the subreddits that I enjoy lurking on and occasionally contributing to. And I said, if you want to be more attractive, think about it this way. If you had to build a guy best friend from the ground up, and you were like, okay, the kind of person I want to spend my time with, I want to hang out with, I want to, enjoy doing stuff with, how does that guy dress? What kind of job does that guy have? What kind of hobbies does he have? What kind of vacations does he go on? And get that get that avatar in your mind and then just become that guy.
That's great. I love that. I really like that. I'm going to use that. I never thought about it that way, but that's spot on. That's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah. And just use him as your template.
It takes you, it steps you, because it does, it takes you, it brings a little bit more self-awareness, right? And it kind of takes you out of thinking, hey, this is, me. And you can apply that to this avatar, and you can slowly, again, don't do everything at once. My tiny habits is coming through here.
For sure.
Just start small. Don't all of a sudden start, mountain climbing when you've never even gone for a hike, so just, take it one step at a time.
Yeah. And there could be, and look, everybody's avatar for that is going to look different. There could be some guys that have a best friend that's into some stuff that I'm definitely not into, but think of this scenario. Is your best friend going to be a guy who wakes up, throws on some, sort of dirty, ill-fitting clothing, gets in his car, gets on the bus, goes to a job that he hates, works there all day, is mean to his coworkers and, the customers that he deals with, he's just not pleasant. Then all he does when he comes home is bitch and moan about this job that he hates. Then, has a few drinks or smokes some weed, plays, video games and, yells at people and tries to call them names and tries to feel a little bit better about himself by putting other people down. And then, when he's finally a little too drunk or a little too high, he passes out on the couch and then wakes up the next day and does it all over. That's not what my best friend looks like. That's not the guy that I want to hang out with. And that's, also not the guy that I want to be. And so if that is the guy that you want to be, and that's the kind of guy that you don't want to hang out with, you need to look at that difference between who you are and who you'd like to be around and start small, but make those changes and start letting go of the things that you're like, man, if my best friend did the stuff that I do on a daily basis, I would not want to hang out with him very much at all. And so just, pick an area and start tiny. And if you need some help with that, you can, of course, contact Dan directly at dan@mindfullymasculine.com. And even before that, you can just listen to our episodes about tiny habits. And as we go through the book, look at the different pieces of that you can make huge changes by starting small. And I would definitely encourage you to use that model. Use the what kind of best friend do you want, and then look at being that kind of guy.
Yeah, that's a great tip for sure.
All right. I think we're about out of time. So this week we covered status and money. And again, they don't matter as much as you might be obsessed with thinking that they do. Next week, we're going to talk about sexual market value. And what that means is basically how do you measure up and compare to the other people, other guys that are out there looking for short or long-term relationships. And what is the reason that a girl that you would be interested in would choose you instead of choosing somebody else? And so we'll start getting into some of those economics of dating and mating. And it's an interesting topic that I enjoy talking about.
Yeah, it's the first kind of economics I'm excited about.
I like all kinds, but this kind's definitely the most fun. All right, Dan, well, you have a good week, and I will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, you too, sir. Have a good one. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.